10 things I wish I knew before opening a gym. This is Coach Austin from Hyper Strength and Conditioning here in San Jose, California, and I'm gonna go right into the meat of potatoes of this video, the 10 things I wish I knew before opening a gym. And if you find this content helpful, then like, subscribe. I'm gonna keep producing content to leave you entertained, educated, or at least having a smile on your face. Number 10. The business model. And I'm gonna do a very detailed video about this, but before I opened my gym, my idea was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna open a gym, where people can train and nerd out and work out and just do the things. I didn't know what it was, like a personal training gym, a group training gym, an open gym. I wanna do all of it. So that was the first time. Like, Hyper's gonna be just the third space of fitness in San Jose where people can nerd out and work out. We're fandom and fitness meet, but 6 years later, now we're just personal training. We're just personal training in a small group. I'm very niched down to that. So if you open a business where it's just catering to everything, it's not, especially with fitness, you think it's like, oh yeah, personal training, it's a niche, it's gym. No, you're gonna be spreading yourself too thin. You're gonna be trying to specialize on too many things and you just look like an idiot. Take it from experience. Pick something that you want to do. And I'll make a whole video about this later on, going over which type of gym model you should open going into opening a gym. But yeah, number 10 is figuring out what model. If you don't know exactly what model you're going for, whether it be group training, personal training, a CrossFit type gym, or just an open gym, it's gonna be rough. Number 9, lease negotiations. Story time, real quick. I was sitting in front of the landlord. I didn't know how to negotiate a lease. Lucky it's like a mom and pop who own the warehouse, and they're like, yo man, I know you want to open a gym. We'll do a 2-year lease. And I was like, okay, I'll do a 2-year lease. That's fine. And then after doing the 2-year lease, right before we were signing it, the landlord goes to me and goes, do you personally guarantee this lease? And I had no idea what a personal guarantee is. I thought it was like a figment of speech or something. I was like, oh yeah, I'll personally guarantee this lease. I didn't know the stipulations of that, but now I do. But what I'm trying to say is that you need to understand how to negotiate a lease. You need to understand tenant improvement. You need to understand rent abatement. Those words are foreign to you, and you want to get into a business of opening a brick and mortar space. Don't mind the gym. It could be a donut shop. It could be a CBD place. Like, you got to understand these things. I would hire a commercial realtor and have them kind of walk you through this process, because they actually get paid by the landlord. You don't pay them. A lot of people don't know this. You don't pay the commercial realtor. It's their job to find you a space that fits in your budget, and they get paid by the landlord. You want them to argue and negotiate the lease on your behalf. You don't want the landlord's realtor, because they're just going to negotiate what's best for the landlord. And if you have no idea what's going on, you have no idea what's going on. Number 8, charging more. I had a very low founder's rate. You gotta be able to calculate, again, this goes back into the business model, because I didn't know. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna charge $99 a month, because that's a cool number and that's what other gyms are charging. But it's like, you need to factor in, the capacity of your space. How much can you fit in a given time, a given hour? And at the same time, like, what is the margins? Number 8 is margins. You need to understand what you're charging and how much you're gonna be profiting from it. And if it's just you, that's fine. You're taking all the money. But once you start hiring staff and you got to pay them, you got to understand like how much you're actually going to pay them and how much the gym's actually keeping. You got to factor in payroll taxes. If you're doing it in the employee route. And I'll do another video for personal training employees versus independent contractors. For example, if I have a trainer, okay, they're training for me, and the client pays $60 for a session, the trainer will make how much? Should I give them 30%, 40% of the rate, 50, 60? I want to be hella nice because the trainer's doing most of the work anyway, so I'm going to give them 90% of the pay rate. Well, guess what, buddy? Out of that trading rate, you give the trainer 90% because you're so nice. They out of $60, so they make $54. The other 10% goes to $6. You made $6 off that client. Well, Austin, I don't got to train them. But the gym made $6 off that client. And then you also got to pay payroll taxes. So you probably made $3 on that client while your employee made 54. So of course, I'm all for paying your employees for their work, but there has to be a balance because those $3 per client is not gonna pay for your overhead, your electricity, your water, your garbage, the taxes on taxes. Think about all the bills that you gotta pay. And also you gotta make a small profit. I'm not trying to be Jeff Bezos here. Ultimately, the business is there to make you money. You gotta understand margins. And that's what I wish I knew. A good going rate for margins, 60% to the gym, and then 40% or below goes to like paying the employee and all that. Cause you're out of factoring, if they're full time, you gotta factor in benefits. I understand the whole anti-work movement, but I'm all about paying my people. And you ask any of my trainers, they know I do my best. We do our best to pay them good. Number 7 is systems. Oh, systems. Okay, so everyone wants to figure out how to gain more clients. How can I get more clients? How can I get more clients? I need to gain more clients. I need to get more. But at the end of the day, it doesn't help if you're trying to gain more clients and you don't know what to do with them. There's no process. There's no system of like, once a client fills a consultation form on the website, if you even have a website, what is the system of them reaching out to you and contacting you? What's the step after that? After they emailed you, are they emailed back right away? Do you contact them? Do you text them? Do you take their email and phone number? And then after that, is it a consult call or a trial session? Or it's like, do you know like what's going on? And after the trial session, do you know how to close them? Ultimately, they're gonna wanna know like what if they're interested, and if you did it right, what's the price? And then then what's their on-ramp look like? You need to have that dialed in. So I just gave you the sales system of like what you kind of need to do. What about someone who checks in the front desk? What's the system of employees who want to shift a client to another trainer because they're gonna go off, they're gonna take some time off? Take a piece of paper, go Google Doc, and you just type out like step 1. Let me know if you want to give a trainer out or give a client to another trainer. Step 2, email other trainer to see if they're available and capable to take on said client. That's how systems are made. Once you have systems established for everything, it makes everything flow easier. A business can't operate without systems, and I learned that the hard way. Number 6, setting standards. First, I was very willy-nilly about like, oh yeah, you know, feel free on how to train. I trust you. You're good. You could train them. I believe in you. Especially when you have your own business. That's your name and that's your brand. And you have this vision. You have this dream of what this brand, this place is going to look like. The people who work on it. You have this perceived image of like, they're going to be like this. And they have an image like this. And they're going to act like this. But then they're not acting like this. Or it doesn't look like that. Or this and that. That's where your standards. You have to let people know from the get-go, even if it's just you, like what your standards are. This is the level of training you're going to get no matter what. The level of service. This is how I want the front desk to look like all the time. This is how clean I want the gym. This is the and it goes back to systems. But setting the standards is bar none, because I was willy-nilly and trying to be too nice, and it fucked us up a lot, because then it got a lot of people confused. Clients were not experiencing the same type of service that we were promising, that we were talking about in our marketing and all that stuff. You got to be. Well, I'm sorry, but you're putting all the risks. Make sure you're in it. Number 5, basic equipment versus fancy. Don't get too caught up with the shiny. All right, there's too many people out there who see these gyms on social media like they have all the nice stuff. You don't know if they're sponsored on, you don't know what they had. They had extra capital. But if you have no capital, no starting capital, you just are in a limited budget opening a gym, weights are weights are weights. You can get the fancy Alico equipment and all that later, but it's like you're trying to buy a Ferrari, but you don't even know how to drive a Honda Civic yet. Like, get what gets the job done first for the gym. If your goal is to open the most exotic looking gym, then you got to prepare for that. All you need to focus on is what's going to get the client results. What equipment you actually need to deliver the service or the product that you are marketing, that you are promising, that you want to deliver. That's it. Just because it's a red calibrated plate doesn't mean the client's going to get results any faster. You have to earn that space where you can be like, oh yeah, let's get all the legals now. You have to earn it. Number 4, hiring less, or hiring in general. general. So when I started, God bless them, I got my brother, my sister-in-law, her sister-in-law's boyfriend, a couple of friends that they helped me kind of open this gym. And it was tough because when you hire family, and granted, they were the hardest workers I've ever had, but they lacked direction because obviously with this video, I didn't have much direction. I thought I did, but I didn't. And it led to frustration and resentment, which led me feeling bad, and it was good. I mean, we're all good now, but in the beginning, it was kind of rough. Hiring, I would be very careful who you hire, and I would just do all the work first. I know it sucks, but in order to make this happen, I had to do all the work first. If I had to do it over again, I would do all the work first and hire more methodically. I would take my time, make a legit job description of everything that this person needs to do. And while you're doing all the stuff you need to do in the gym, now you're gonna figure out like, oh, this is the stuff I don't wanna do. This is the stuff I need help doing. And you put that in that job description and you put it up. I need a admin assistant, or I need a assistant coach making a flat rate. And you're gonna learn, and they're gonna learn, and you're gonna set the standard for them. That's where I would start first, and start with one or two, whatever you could afford. If you can't afford it, then don't do it. Especially for the public to be like, well, if you can't afford paying your workers a livable wage, you don't deserve to be in a business, which I totally understand. And I totally agree with. So what people tend to do is they overextend, they hire too many, then you pay more than you get. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to hire more methodically and find that one or two person first to really set the tone and build out that foundation so they can understand. And when you have those one or two people and you're like multiplying your efforts, then that's when you start making enough income where you can start really focusing on paying that livable wage or close to it. It takes time. Number 3, insurance and licensing. That was a annoying one because it's all legalities. It's all just make sure the place you are renting out or the business, you have a general liability insurance, you have insurance for your car that you use for the business if you're doing it, you have trainer insurance, you have like workman's comp, all that stuff. You need to look all that up because it is just very important that you have like the right business permits, licensing, insurance. It is less of a headache. That's all I'm gonna say to that. Number 2 is being too nice. I wanted everyone to love us. I wanted everyone to love me. I'm a new gym on the block. I'm a new owner. But it leads to a lot of people asking for discounts and deals, and a lot of people who say they want to help your business, but you got to pay them $1,000 a month to like show you. Like, stop. You have to be, and I'm sorry, but it's true. That is one of the things that I would say is one of the most pivotal things about this lesson is you gotta stop being nice. You gotta fight for your dream. You wanted to open this business, you gotta fight for every inch of it. And if someone says something that you kind of don't like, don't be afraid to share your disagreement. On another side of this, be open-minded. Don't be so guarded, and making sure that you're setting a standard and it's going in the direction you want it to go to. And number 1 is lowering your expectations just a little bit, because you can get very gung-ho about it. You can get very aggro about, oh yeah, we're gonna be in the green in like 4 weeks and we're gonna make like $100,000 a month and all that. Unless you're working with like a franchise, then maybe, because they have kind of all of this stuff laid out for you. But if you're on your own, it's gonna be a grind. And you gotta be consistent. Consistency over intensity. I'm telling you, it's worth it. You gotta be patient. You can't just expect it to fly off the shelf. But once you key in on it, it's smooth like butter. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. It's consistency over intensity. You definitely will reap rewards the more you go along with this journey. And thank you again. If you made it this far, thank you again for everything. Like, subscribe, do all the things. This is Coach Austin from Hyper Strength and Conditioning, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.